It has truly been forever since I've seen a running back class this loaded. The 2025 NFL Draft has guys like Ashton Jeanty, Caleb Johnson, Omarion Hampton, Quinshaw Judkins, Travion Henderson. These guys that are almost surefire top 50, top 60 picks. And I really just don't remember the last time there was a class that just had this much top-end talent. And for as much top-end talent as there is, I think there's even more talent down the board. You're talking about guys like Taj Brooks, Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon, R.J. Harvey, DJ Giddens. I know I just rattled off a bunch of Big 12 running backs, but there is Cam Scadabo is another one. There is so much depth in this running back class. I mean, you're looking at, I don't even really know how many starters you could get on day one. It's hard to say. There's just so many. And there's so many teams that need a running back. If you're a team that needs a running back, I mean, you chose the perfect year to need one, for real. So naturally, when you have this much top-end talent and you have this much depth in a class, there's going to be guys that kind of go forgotten, that get swept under the radar. You just don't really hear about them. Maybe they don't play for a top-end SEC team or a top Big Ten team or whatever the case may be, and you're not seeing them every single day on your feeds on Twitter or whatever the case may be. Sometimes these guys slip through the cracks, and I think I've found a guy that might fit into this sleeper category that everyone always looks for every single year. Now, this guy that I'm talking about was super under-recruited coming out of high school, starting his career at North Carolina A&M. Spent 2 years at North Carolina A&M before eventually transferring into the ACC to play for the Virginia Tech Hokies. And look, this guy has been extremely productive at every single step of his career. And as far as I'm concerned, I just don't understand where the lack of hype is coming from. I haven't seen anybody talking about this guy. I mean, he's flown so under the radar that he is now draft eligible, and he's one of my favorite backs in this entire class, and I haven't seen a single analyst talk about him, not one. And the guy that I am talking about is Bhayshul Tuten out of Virginia Tech. Now, he's a senior. He stands at 5'11", unofficially at 209 pounds. I don't really know what the plan is for him going into draft season. We're going to see him at the Senior Bowl. We're going to see him at the Combine, get a better view, kind of develop a better opinion, a better understanding of him as a prospect. But as of right now, those are just his base measurables. Allegedly runs a 4.3 4.40. We'll see what that actually ends up being. I don't know if that's going to actually be his time. Maybe it is. He looks incredibly quick on film. And coming out of high school, out of New Jersey, he ran a 7.06.60, which I believe at the time was the fastest in the state's history. I could be wrong. Don't fact check me on that. But when I was doing my research, I believe that was a true fact. So like I've mentioned, he started at North Carolina A&M, extremely under-recruited coming out of high school, had incredible statistics. I don't have them off the top of my head or written down, but was an incredibly productive runner in high school. Just was under-recruited out of his state and goes to North Carolina A&M, has a fine freshman year, absolutely balls out his sophomore year. Check my notes. He had 11 games played, 208 carries for just over 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns. Super productive at North Carolina A&M. Takes the step to Virginia Tech, and as a junior, his first year in the ACC, he had 173 carries for 863 yards and 10 touchdowns. So very productive as a junior. And one thing I've noticed about this guy is he gets better every single year. It's not a consistent flow as like he's just consistently average. He is improving every single year. The vision gets better. The lateral quickness gets better. The agility gets better. The vision gets better. The IQ gets better. Just being able to shed tacklers as he gets stronger. He's just a guy that keeps on improving. And these are guys I like to bet on going into NFL draft season. His senior year is where he exploded. And that is one of the knocks on him as a prospect, at least, in my opinion, is that he is older. Being a senior, right, playing all 4 years of college, getting all of these carries. He has a massive workload already going into the NFL, which is kind of a red flag. Although when you watch the tape, I mean, he's super explosive, super dynamic. And I just trust my eyes with this guy. Rushed for just shy of 1,200 yards, sitting at 1,159. Had 15 total touchdowns. Or 15 rushing touchdowns, rather. Had a much better year receiving as a junior than a senior. I have it right here that he had 239 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns as a junior as compared to 81 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns as a junior, or as a senior rather. So I'd like to see him used more as a receiving back, because there are clips that I've found where he looks very natural running downfield and catching the ball. Now, it needs to get better. It needs to be more consistent. Same thing with him as a pass protector. It needs to get better. It needs to get more consistent. That is, kind of frightening that he's a senior and this isn't as developed as you'd like it to be, but he is more of like a scat back. I don't know if you're using him in super obvious passing downs, right? Just because he is so good in between the tacklers and just getting him out in space. I don't know if you really want to use him as a third down running back, as a pass blocker. He does need to improve on it, but I don't think that's the biggest of deals for him specifically. I have a couple of clips that I want to look at, just kind of break down what I really, really like about his game. He's such a fluid runner, such a good athlete too. I mean, he really pops when you watch him. The speed and just the one-step quickness, the foot in the dirt and explosion off of that step. It's noticeable. It's extremely noticeable on film. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into some of this film right here. So this first play I want to look at here is a pretty simple run concept. He's just going to basically run up the middle and kind of just wait for his blockers to get to this second level. Miami does a good job of getting pressure in the backfield early. What Bhayshul Tuten does a good job of is getting skinny in between his offensive line right here. He breaks this tackle right here, this little weak arm tackle. He runs through them because he is so powerful. He never stops moving his feet. He's a really hard runner, and I'm going to let this video play out. He just explodes off that broken tackle, and there's nobody on Miami that catches him. It's a foot race. Nobody on Miami catches this man. This next clip is something that I really, really liked because it's not something that I saw in his film a lot. So seeing it on and I understand Miami is not an excellent defense, but it is some of the best competition that Virginia Tech played this year. So seeing him do that to this kind of competition does raise a little bit of excitement in me. So we're going to take a look at this here. He's just going to get this ball and run off the right side of his right tackle here. You see this cornerback right here at the 50-yard line kind of breaking down, getting ready to wrap up and tackle Tuten. Tuten does a good job of setting up inside. You can see right here he sets up inside kind of towards the line of scrimmage, then bounces outside, makes number 2 miss, gets upfield, right? Gets upfield, does a little hesitation, makes number 0 miss as well, just completely whiffs on that tackle right there. Gets picked up by this cornerback right here. So the cornerback wraps up at, let's see what that is. That is about I can't really tell what the yard marker is there, but gets wrapped up right here, drags the defender an extra 4 or so yards. Like I said, extremely powerful, runs through would-be tacklers, doesn't go down on the first hit ever. Just a really powerful runner. And these guys that are super duper powerful and have the footwork and have the ability to get skinny like this, along with the straight line explosive speed, it's just rare to find a combination of all these things. It really is. So this next clip right here, you're going to watch I think that's the tight end for Virginia Tech, number 82, and the right guard do a really good job of just kind of sealing that defender right there, number 99, creating a pretty massive gap for him to run through. What I like about this clip is just the first step explosion, kind of what I mentioned earlier. He puts a foot in the ground and he explodes off of it. It's not slow, it's not choppy, it's not methodical. He is extremely decisive. When he sees the gap, he takes off towards it, and the vision's good. I've seen running backs try to bounce this outside, and look, the way that this is set up, that's going to be a tackle for loss every single time. But he cuts this back inside, and I understand this is a design play. He doesn't really have to do all that much, but what I'm watching for here is just the explosion through the line of scrimmage, like just running through tacklers. Look at this. The defender wraps him up at the 52-yard line. He gets hands on him at the 52-yard line. Tuten doesn't go down till, the 40. He doesn't go down till the 40. Drags the defender an extra 12. He's just so strong, along with the speed, like I keep mentioning. This is another one of the examples. I get it. It's Stanford. This is not great competition. I totally understand that. I'm caveating pretty much all of this whole video with the competition is not excellent, and I totally understand that. But gets the ball here. It looks like it's kind of a option play. The quarterback could keep it. 14 sits on it, so he hands it off to Tuten. There is pressure. There there's penetration immediately, really. Zero does a good job for Stanford of just kind of shooting in between the right guard and the right tackle to kind of get his nose in the play, really, is what I'm trying to say. Bhayshul here does a really good job of just keeping his feet moving forward. Like I said, you need to gang tackle this guy. He's just too strong. He's too fast. He runs too hard for just one guy to try to arm tackle him. So, I mean, he's running through defenders. Takes 2 defenders to finally get him down. By that point, he's already in the end zone. It's a touchdown for Virginia Tech. On 4th and 1, I might add, they felt confident enough from the 6-yard line. From the 6-yard line, they ran off on, they weren't expecting to get a touchdown here. You're just trying to get a yard, but Bhayshul does a really good job of just fighting through would-be tacklers, showing his toughness. And look, I mean, this could have easily been a tackle for loss, change of possession, but it's not, because Bhayshul is so strong, so decisive when he runs, and so hard to tackle. So this is another one of the same concepts that we saw from earlier. You have somebody in motion, kind of just directing traffic the opposite direction of where Bhayshul wants to make his cut at. So Bhayshul, like, once again, there's that step. He makes that step. Once he hits that step, and I wish they weren't so far back in the backfield. I wish he wasn't, so he could, maybe make up a little bit more ground here. But look, puts his foot in the ground, 15 and 93, try to tackle him. He is too fast. Can't do that. He does a good job right here. There's a couple of angles he can take. Now, he could bounce this outside, but it looks like the defender for Boston College to his right would have been able to tackle him. So what he does is he kind of knifes in between his tackle and 29 and 28 for Boston College. And he had an excellent game against Boston College. I don't remember the exact number. I think it was like 283 total yards, something like that. A pure dominance from him. But look, he cuts upfield really quickly. Guys try to tackle him, makes him miss because he's faster. Gets upfield, makes another man miss. Number 28 just shakes him off. It's another one of those. He plants the foot. He sets up to his right side, makes the defender throw whatever kind of attempt of a tackle that is. Once again, arms get put on him right here. He doesn't go down till the 30. Once again, just super strong, very hard to tackle. Next play, this is what I'm talking about with him as a receiving back. I wish I got to see more of this. So what he's doing is, this is a passing down, obvious passing down with 20 seconds left. You're looking to get in the end zone here, or at least get more yards for a field goal. What he's doing right here is he's sitting and he's just identifying the Mike linebacker, waiting to see if he blitzes, waiting to see if there's any kind of blitz, any kind of stunt. And in this specific look, there typically isn't any pressure with just how far off the linebackers are. Maybe you get a corner blitz, but it just doesn't happen on this particular play. So he's identifying that. Once he realizes that, look, you can kind of see his head is shifted, looking at that corner, seeing if that corner is going to blitz. Once he realizes that that corner is playing off and he's not going to blitz, he leaks out, which is good. That's what you want. You want your running back to be quick with that decision. Drones does a good job of stepping up in the pocket here, navigates. He sees Tuten put his hands up right here at the 15-yard line. He runs upfield. Drones kind of throws this a little bit behind him. He makes a extremely acrobatic catch on the move, I might add. He looks so fluid. He just looks so comfortable as a runner. It's something that you don't see that often with this combination of like his dynamics as a runner and his dynamics as a pass catcher. He just looks so comfortable out there. And a little kind of nugget was his senior year. He was nursing an ankle injury towards the end of it, so it's not. If you go look at his base statistics, he had a game, I believe it was against Clemson, in which he didn't play much at all. I think he got like 3 carries. Was diagnosing an ankle injury, so the lack of production, I'd say, towards the end of his senior season does come from that. And as far as I can tell, I don't think he's had a long history of sustained injuries like that, so I do think that is kind of like a one-off. I've noticed that Virginia Tech really loves to pull their inline tight end a lot. He doesn't really do anything here, but he kind of gets it to where the linebacker hesitates, or really the deep safety rather, hesitates just enough to where you give the ball to Tuten. He gets skinny enough to get in between Let's see. It looks like that's his. Yes, that's his right guard and right tackle. Gets skinny enough, just kind of slithers in between them. Would-be tackler could get him down at the 3 or 2 yard line. Just runs through it. Not strong enough to tackle him. Very powerful runner. I keep bringing it up, but you can use this guy in the red zone. I do think he's going to have to get stronger. Like at the NFL, going up against NFL athletes, you're not going to be able to run through these tackles, but I do believe with the speed he has and just the vision and the quickness and the agility, I think everything is there for him to be successful at the NFL level. So this is the last clip we're going to look at here. It's another one of these things where they're pulling 82. They do that a lot. They're pulling number 82. They're actually he's kind of like the lead blocker in this scenario, I should say. He's kind of just following that left side of the offensive line and the receivers. Receiver, like he's kind of just, when he gets to the line of scrimmage, he does a really good job of knifing in between defenders and tacklers. He's not running into anybody. He's not tripping over anybody's feet. He's not getting tackled by weak arm tackles. He's not getting shoelace tackled. Runs extremely hard. Knifes through defenders. 93 can't catch him. There's 2 ways he could play this. He could bounce this outside, but his momentum is already carrying him inside. So what does he do? He knifes this in between 28, and I believe that's 29. I can't really tell. 20. Kind of gets away with a hold. I will not lie, but definitely gets away with a hold, actually. But regardless, knifes in between those 2 defenders, and look, just zero chance number 28 catches him. It's a foot race, and Tuten outruns him. He's just that quick. And look, there's definitely some flaws in the game. The pass protection needs work. Like, absolutely no doubt, pass protection needs work. But I think as a baseline, a guy that you're looking at day 2, and if you're looking for a guy that you just want to take a flyer on that has, really high upside, just a dude that has really good athleticism, I think Bhayshul Tuten's your guy. I haven't seen anyone talk about him. I really haven't. I look at his film and I see someone who's super explosive, does a good job of knifing through defenses, and someone I'd be a fan of and I would keep my eye on in this draft process.